Hello everyone, this is Dana from NexGen. Last week we introduced Me Inc. and we wrote down our 2020 and 2021 personal expenses. This week we're going to categorize and evaluate our spending. As I said before, everyone is different and start at a different point. The objective is to improve our financial wellness. I reviewed my spending, and to my surprise, I spent less in 2021. When I examined the categories, I spent a significant amount in vehicles, home maintenance, and dental work in 2020. So that accounts for the difference in the 2 years. So there's going to be periodic expenses that we're going to have in 2022 that were not in previous years. So we're going to go ahead and write those down because we're going to include those in our projected 2022 spending. Now we're going to review each spending category and assess areas for improvement that we can take into 2022. This is an example of housing. So with your mortgage and rent, mortgage, even with a fixed rate mortgage, you can probably look to see that there's probably going to be an increase. And the reason I'm saying that is if you have a mortgage with an escrow, and an escrow is comprised at a minimum of homeowners insurance and real estate taxes. So when those go up, then you can pretty much count on your mortgage being adjusted. And of course, your rent, if you're signing a 1-year lease, that could go up as well. Now, a lot of times with people, they get in the mail advertisements to have their mortgage rate changed so that their payments will be lower. I would recommend to you, and then I'll have some information in the description below, that there may be a better way to lower or pretty much reduce the time that you have in the mortgage so that you're paying less in interest. So with the utilities, you can review them to make sure that they meet your needs and that to the extent possible, you have energy efficient appliances, especially if you own the home. If you rent the property, then of course you're just going to make sure that everything is in working order. And if not, you let the landlord know in writing, of course. This is an example of housing. Okay, the next category is transportation. Some of you may not own a vehicle, and some of you may not have a vehicle payment. So if you have a vehicle payment, what you may want to do is review the interest rate of that vehicle to make sure that it meets your needs. And in subsequent videos, I'm going to talk about how we can get extra money by just changing the interest rate. Now, I have down here bus or taxi fare, so that of course can include Uber or any other ride-sharing program or public transportation. And of course, you have the insurance on the vehicle if you have a vehicle, and of course, maintenance, which is very important because I have found that you'll either pay now or you pay later. So it's always best to make sure that if you own a vehicle, that it's properly maintained. Speaking of properly maintained, we have the insurance category. Now, as I said before, if you rent a property, there may be a requirement to have renter's insurance. And based on previous experience, I highly recommend, even if they don't require it, that you get renter's insurance, because in some policies, it extends past your contents in the home. Of course, you have the home insurance, which homeowners insurance, again, that may extend past the home and also may be a requirement of the lender. Again, this is something that is very important. So you want to review your insurance policies to make sure that they meet your needs. The insurance policy, whether it be home, health, life, or other types of insurance, you want to review them at least annually to make sure they meet your needs. Another thing, especially in the area of life insurance, if you have a term policy, usually it's the amount is fixed for that particular period of time, that particular term. You want to make sure that it meets your needs, and also the beneficiary is exactly who you want it to be. So again, at a minimum, you want to review this every year. And I guess everyone has noticed that the cost of food is going up. Whether you go to the store to buy groceries or whether you go out and eat. One of the things that I found that was very helpful is that I always went to the store with a grocery list. And for non-perishable items, when they were on sale, I purchased in bulk. So it served me to learn how to cook different dishes. And when I did dine out, I dined out by way of my business. It was a business meeting. So I reduced my dining out expenses. This is something, these are different ways that you can reduce your food budget. This is an example of personal care. Definitely review all of these things, and there may be others that are not included on this list, to make sure that they meet your need. Of course, my dry cleaning and clothing expenses went down, as well as Health Club, because, well, in 2020 it was closed, but I find different ways to meet my needs as far as gym equipment. But definitely review any health club dues or anything like that to make sure that it meets your needs and you're not spending money for something that you're not using. Okay, I know I'm dating myself for this entertainment, but again, we want to review our spending on subscription services and anything else that we have for entertainment, because sometimes the library, our public library, can meet the needs. For example, there are books that I wanted to read only one time, so they actually had it in the public library, so I did not have to purchase the books. And during the time when the public libraries were closed, they also offered online services that I could actually look at movies and even check out books electronically. So there's different ways that you can meet your entertainment needs that don't cost as much as you think they would. Okay, this is my favorite category. It's fun. Now, not everyone has state taxes, so this may not apply to everyone. But for the other taxes, we want to make sure that we're taxed appropriately. So you may need to work with an outside professional like a bookkeeper or a certified public accountant to make sure that you are paying what you should be paying as far as taxes. And of course, that includes the real estate taxes, because there are also discounts that can be offered as far to include homestead exemptions. So we want to make sure that we maximize our discounts for taxes that we're paying. And of course, there's some places that some states don't have taxes on food. Now, on savings and investments, we want to make sure that we review if you have them, review your retirement and investment accounts to make sure that they meet your needs. And if you're still working, or you have active work, and that's difference between active income and passive income, you want to make sure that you have enough in savings so that if you lose your ability to perform, that you're appropriately insured, and that you have enough savings to make sure that you are appropriately covered. Now, we also want to account for our regular gift giving and donations that we make to our place of worship, charities that we may regularly provide money, time, or anything of that nature, people's birthdays, weddings, new babies, things that you want to give to people. You want to make sure that you set aside some money for that, especially if you know that these things are going to come up, or that you've committed to doing something. You want to make sure that you set aside funds for that in the appropriate amount that meets your needs. I talked about a certified public accountant before, but these are some professional fees that you may be paying from time to time. An attorney, of course, you would use an attorney for estate planning. You would have a bookkeeper or a certified public accountant for your personal funds. So we want to set aside some money for these types of professions. This does not necessarily have to be an annual expense. It could be a periodic expense. So again, these are some things that are available to you. I do not have a pet, but for those that do, we want to make sure that we include these items in our budget to take care of our pets. And from what I understand, medical can be very expensive at times. So we want to make sure that we have adequate funds to take care of them. Now, for those of you who have loans and credit card, and in this category, we're talking about credit card debt, because if you use your credit cards for any of the other categories, the spending will be attributed to that particular category. But this is pretty much servicing debt. So if you owe someone money, whether it be a person or a financial institution, that would be listed here. So in the loans category, what you want to do is focus on how you can eliminate or at least reduce in 2022 these loan payments. Because again, this is for purchases or for expenses that may have happened in the past. Everything else is accounted for in the categories that we just went over. I hope this information was helpful to you. So what we've done so far is we've written down our expenses from 2020, 2021. We've examined them, looked at areas where we can improve them, and also wrote down expenses that we may incur in 2022. So next week, what we're going to do is we're going to do an actual budget in Excel spreadsheet. Of course, you can use anything that you need to, because I told you that there were apps that you can use to document your budget or to document your expenditures. But we're actually going to do a live, actually doing a budget. So hopefully I will see you then, and have a great weekend. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.